The movie starts with Tess staring at and observing the artwork in the gallery as a young man named Henry approaches her, stating his observation of her. She doesn't seem to like the painting. Tess startles as she sees him and says she doesn't know she is now under surveillance. He laughs, and they both discuss the painting. Tess letting him know that her reason for not liking the piece of art is because the different colors seem way too much, making the painting look too busy. Henry breaks it to her that he is the artist behind the piece, and Tess offers to buy a drink for him as an apology for being blunt about his piece of art. Tess lets him know that she agreed to meet her friend Sarah Quinn at the gallery, but got bailed on. Sarah is the arty one, not her. Henry asks her if she would love to join him and his friends for dinner, and she promises to do so another time. Not that day, and they both exchange their contacts. In the next scene, Tess and Henry are shown hanging out together in a restaurant, eating and drinking. Tess seeks to know if Henry was able to sell his works at the exhibition that day, and how much each one of his paintings could cost. After lunch, they both go out to the balcony to have a great view of the buildings. Tess tells Henry that she has been in London for 10 years now, and she really loves it and doesn't think she will leave. She notices Henry's body movements due to the weather and offers to give him her jacket. He refuses and thanks her, saying he's a very independent man. Tess laughs and tries to inquire about what they should do next. Henry cuts her statement and kisses her. The next scene shows Tess in the morning on Henry's bed as he approaches her with her breakfast. She thanks him and reminds him that she is a vegetarian and doesn't eat the meal he just brought. Henry apologizes to her for letting it slip from his mind and offers to give her coffee instead. Tess accepts, and just as Henry tries to pass the cup of coffee to her, it spills on the duvet. Henry apologizes to her for being clumsy and tries to clean it off, while Tess tells him that it is completely fine. Henry brushes his teeth as Tess prepares to leave his house. She seeks to know the place Henry really wants to go to before he perishes, and he answers California, because the people there are friendly and liberal. Tess promises to go to California with him someday soon, just the two of them. At night, Henry tries to get some sleep, but can't due to Tess snoring. In the morning, during breakfast, she asks him if he wasn't able to sleep properly cause of her snore. She shares a tip about counting the legs of an octopus when one struggles to sleep at night. Henry laughs and tells her she was snoring and drooling at the same time. He demonstrates it, letting the milk from his flakes drip out from his mouth. At night, they both watch a reality show together, and Henry complains about not understanding why they have to watch a show filled with not-so-good people. But Tess tells him it's entertaining, as they get to discuss the episodes together. Henry kisses Tess and takes her to his bed as they both get intimate with each other. Henry serves breakfast at the table for him and Tess. She takes a spoon and doesn't give him a good review about the dish as Henry tries to get a response from her. Henry decides to have a taste of it and ends up finding out that what he made is inedible, as he tries to spit it out. He apologizes for ruining the food, and Tess tells him to promise her that he wouldn't do that again. They both wonder what next to do and finally agree to order food. Tess thanks him for trying and pleads with him to move the food off the table because the smell sucks badly. Henry does that and comes back to peck her, as they both try to find what to order. The next scene shows Henry hanging out with his friend Johnny as they both sit and drink together. He informed Johnny about Tess, how pretty and smart she is, and lets Johnny know he wants to screw it up because they are two people with entirely different personalities, with Tess, a lawyer. Johnny advises him not to because the opposite attracts and all, but Henry laughs at him, saying Johnny is the don of relationships and his longest relationship has just been about 2 weeks or so. Johnny laughs and asks Henry if he wants more drinks, which Henry declines, saying he's low on cash. Johnny offers to help him, but Henry disagrees, saying he doesn't like borrowing money. Johnny's still adamant about it, goes to buy the drink for him, and tells him they need to celebrate his new lover. Tess, while at work, updates her friends there about Henry, that he is a good guy, but a bad cook, and they immediately tell her to push him aside, after hearing that he sucks at cooking. They try to find out where and how she met him, and she elucidates everything to them. She met him at the art gallery where he had his exhibition. He walked up to her while she was looking at his artwork and waiting for Sarah Quinn, who bailed on her. He sought to know her opinion about his work of art, which she didn't really like, and they finally exchanged contacts. In the next scene, Henry and Tess listen to songs and dance together to the beats and the sounds produced. Tess and Henry go out to have a great view of the buildings. Tess tells Henry that even though this was her idea, she is acrophobic and still really scared of heights. They both admire the buildings and can't help but wonder who lives in them. Tess suggests to Henry that during the weekend, they go away and hang out together, but Henry refuses, saying he has a lot to catch up on, including his paintings. Tess still pleads with him to join her, so he can take a break for the weekend since he is a freelancer. But Henry maintains not going, saying it's important for him to not be away this period. He finally opens up to her that he can't afford to go anywhere now because he is low financially. Tess offers to help him with the money, but he doesn't want it because he doesn't like owing people money as it doesn't sit well with him. She assures him that good things are coming for him and that she is always ready to help and doesn't mind at all. Henry promises to sell his paintings at the exhibition in order to make Tess happy too, and she gets excited and slowly leans her head on his shoulders. Henry is seen in his studio, painting while listening to music. He gets a call, cleans his hand, and rushes to pick it up. It's Jack on the phone, telling him his piece wasn't accepted by the art gallery. Henry begs him, letting him know that he is out of money and really needs to get his artwork sold. He suggests other art galleries too, and Jack assures him he will try to help out. Henry ends the phone call and paces around endlessly and anxiously. With much anger and frustration, he destroys the painting he was working on, breaking the woods holding the paper firm, tearing the paper as well, as he storms out of the studio in pain. At work, Tess gets commended by her boss for doing a good job as a dispute lawyer. Then the boss discusses areas she needs to work on. As a dispute lawyer, she needs to get in touch with a network of people who would think of her company first to settle cases for them. Her boss congratulates her and says how impressed she is with Tess, telling her that she needs to be really proud of herself as well. At home, Henry and Tess sit quietly at a table, and Tess asks him if he isn't going to ask her about how her appraisal went. Henry tells her that he was going to do so before she mentioned it. He still keeps shut without asking her how it went, and Tess gets upset, saying he doesn't want to find out how her day at work went, but rather prefers to sit in silence. He affirms that what he really wants to do is just sit there and do nothing. He doesn't want to talk because he had a really bad day. Tess becomes worried and seeks to find out what happened to him. He informs her about what happened to his exhibition at the gallery and how the gallery pulled his artwork out. Tess wonders how they can actually do that and asks Henry if he has a contract, to which he replies that he doesn't deal with contracts. Jack deals with them instead. Tess seeks to know what Jack is saying about it, and Henry tells her that Jack just informed him that he is going to be replaced with someone else called Sophie Allen. He doesn't know who she is either, so he looks her up on the internet and finds out that according to The Guardian, she is an emerging artist. Tess advises Henry to change his style because his painting style might be one of the setbacks. He gets upset that he has worked so hard for 10 years to get to where he is now, but Tess is trying to tell him to just dump all his efforts and start from scratch with her so-called new style. Tess pleads with him to stop misunderstanding her. His work is really nice and unique, and she isn't asking him to start from scratch. Rather, she is advising him to continue from where he is now, but using another style. Tess apologizes to Henry, and he lets her know that he is all good. She goes to the gym to work out on a treadmill. Henry is shown with his dad at the bookstore, as his dad asks after his paintings, and he lets him know that he is thinking of changing the style. His other work piece got replaced by someone else's own, and he isn't selling a lot of his works and somehow still needs to pay his bills. His dad tries to scold him, saying his generation is literally filled with people who barely think about worth and means, but are rather more interested in buying what they want and places they would really love to visit someday soon. Henry's dad tells him that during his days, he met a lady called Isabella, who helped him sail through his difficult days as a painter and made his best paintings while he was with her. He advises Henry that maybe if he gets a woman, he will do better. Henry tries to inform his dad that he is seeing a lady, but his dad cuts him, mentioning that he can't see a lady, but can see a dentist, a lawyer, or a priest. He breaks it to his dad that she is actually a lawyer, and his dad scolds him, stating he wants the best for Henry, someone who would inspire his dreams, not someone who would keep reminding him of a tenancy agreement. Henry lets his dad know that Tess does inspire him as well. His dad chimes that he is really happy for him. Henry asks him what happened to Isabel, and he lets him know that all good things always come to an end someday. As Tess and Henry sit on the stairs, she informs Henry that she might go home this weekend due to her mom's ill health. He tells her it's a good idea, and she expresses her fears to him, saying the doctor said her mom has a short time to live. Henry assures her that the doctors don't always know what they say. When Henry and John were still young, the doctor told Johnny that his mom had just a few months to live, but till now, she is still here with them, and nothing is wrong. Henry offers to tag along so he can support her and help her dad with some things, but Tess disagrees, maintaining that it's fine. Still adamant, He tells her he just really wants to help out and would really be an extra assisting hand. She should think about it. Tess finally agrees and Henry thanks her, remarking that all will be fine. This doesn't cheer Tess up, but rather gets her upset. She voices that Henry should stop feeding her with hypotheticals that are unlikely to occur at all. Tess sits beside her mom's sick bed as she slowly tears up. The next scene shows Henry driving and Tess scolding him for not following the map properly. They both argue and Henry tells her she should switch over to drive instead of him if she feels like it is really easy to simultaneously drive and check the map for directions as well. Tess does, and at a certain point, she stops the car, runs out to tear up and Henry rushes to meet up with her. He hugs her passionately to comfort her. Henry is on a call, suggesting that aside from the exhibition at the gallery, another way to promote his business is doing more collaborative stuff with other brands. Henry and Tess hang out with their friends as they have dinner together and drink. One of them announces to everyone that she's trying to have a baby with her boyfriend, and she doesn't want to drink so much so she won't ruin everything. They all become excited, and they ask her which gender she would love to have as her firstborn. So she says she wants a baby girl. She tries to ask Henry and Tess if they would love to have kids because they both look like people who would make really amazing parents. Henry disagrees, stating they've never discussed that. He isn't ready and so is Tess. Henry opines it takes two to make a baby, and they all disagree, saying with advancement today, it doesn't really take two. All a lady gets to do is download the ovulation app, find her time, and seek for a donor. They all ask Henry if he still does music, and he lets them know that he still does that from time to time. They all plead with him to play for them, as it's going to serve as soothing music for their dinner. Henry finally agrees and goes to the piano, and they all stand and watch him simultaneously play and sing the song. After that, everyone commends Henry for doing an amazing job playing the piano and singing for them. They all bid Henry and Tess farewell as they seek to take their leave. Henry wishes all of them a safe journey back home. Tess and Henry go back inside and try to clean up the dishes from the dinner. Henry lets her know that he feels they did the right thing for their friends to visit. Tess agrees and arranges the empty bottles. She goes into the room and switches on the light. Then she goes to the bed and checks to know if Henry is asleep or not. But Henry tells her that he's still awake and asks her why she left the lights on. Tess lies, saying that she couldn't find her phone's charger. Henry pleads with her to turn off the light, but she refuses and he gets angry. He asks her to say what he did wrong exactly, so he can just face it, and she can finally switch the light off. She gets pissed off by his statement and asks him why he went to bed immediately after her friends left. Tess tells Henry that he humiliated her today in front of her friends because he can't even read music. Henry gets mad at Tess and scolds her for always having a problem with everything he does and says he sang a song and her friends liked it. Now she's complaining and trying to pick a fight with him, while he was just trying to make everyone happy. Tess opens up to him that she isn't mad at him because of the song, but rather it is because of what he said at dinner, that it takes two to have a kid. She warns him about making such statements like that in front of her friends, and he replies that he wasn't lying though. Tess lays down to sleep and Henry notifies her about the light she switched on, and she quickly tells him to turn it off himself as she can't. She needs to wake up early because of work. Tess drives out to work, cries, and screams in her car as it gets washed. After getting her car washed, she drives and cleans her teary eyes. At home, Henry is seen going through the record library trying to find a song to play next. Tess meets him and asks why he has chosen not to do anything to try to make himself successful and grow himself further so he can help out in their house. He makes her understand that he is an artist who makes art. Art is literally what he does. She asks him why he can't try his best to make art that sells so he can provide money. But he tells her that art isn't commerce. Rather, it is a feeling that comes from within. With art, there's no formula, and there are absolutely no calculations because that's not how art works. Tess cuts him right there and seeks to know where he would be living in if they weren't together. He needs to make money so he can live because he is an adult. Henry assures her that he knows and understands all that she is saying. The issue is that the money isn't just so easy to come by, but he promises her it will come by one day. She asks him how long they have to keep waiting for the day, and if she has to keep being the one who works, pays their rent, and buys food for them. She wants to know if he is truly okay with that. Henry tells her he usually buys stuff, and he got one of the chairs they have at home. But Tess disagrees, mentioning it was a gift from Johnny, and he didn't buy it. He asks her why she is so concerned if he bought it or not, and she blurts out that he's bought absolutely nothing or paid for anything in the last 2 years, and she is so sick of everything. Tess excuses herself and lets him know that she is very uncomfortable at the moment and would love to step out a little bit. Henry paces around looking for his yellow jumper, so he asks Tess, who's lying down and reading a book. At first, she doesn't reply, but later tells him that no one cares about his yellow jumper. She hasn't seen it and wouldn't search for it for him because she is busy trying to concentrate on the book she's reading. She tells him to check the drawer, or he should check outside. Henry seeks to know what she is pretending to read and why she is pretending to read the book in the first place. Tess tells him to let her be and stop talking, but Henry refuses and wants to scream it by her, making him mute all of a sudden. He later notifies her that he has seen the jumper. It was in the drawer, and he checked the wrong one then. This irritates and angers Tess more, as she really doesn't want him to speak, as she just wants to concentrate on the book she's reading. In the next scene, Tess hangs out with her friend Richard. She tells him that it's time for her to take her leave and go back home because she has work early tomorrow. Richard pleads with her to stay a little and orders 2 more glasses of drinks for them. They both have a conversation as they laugh and sip their drinks at the bar. Tess climbs the staircase and heads to their apartment. She overhears the sound coming from the piano and goes into the house. She sees Henry and asks him why he is still awake. Henry questions her whereabouts and lets her know that he has been calling her phone, but she hasn't been responding. She tells him she alerted him earlier that she was going to go for a drink after work, but he disagrees that she knows such thing to him. She also lets him know that her battery went low, that's why she couldn't get his call. Henry gets pissed at her, saying she didn't tell him, and that's why he cooked dinner for her, but she can remove it from the bin because that's where it is now. Tess mocks him with the fact that he can't and doesn't cook. She then apologizes to Henry for being so blunt, and he accepts her apology and asks her where she has been all this while. She tells him she was having a drink after work, and right now her eyes feel pretty heavy and wonky from the alcohol. Henry tells her that she is a complete mess right now, and she gets angry at the statement. She voices that she is a very busy person who has worked all week and is allowed to have a few drinks after work. Henry agrees to it, but pleads with her to let him know beforehand, so he wouldn't go about preparing stuff that would end up being a complete waste of time and effort. Tess persistently tells him that she made sure she pre-informed him about coming home late tonight. Maybe he just didn't listen to her. He asks her if all she did was discuss with colleagues while having a drink, and she sarcastically compliments him for just sitting at home all day, chilling and doing absolutely nothing. She gets to live her own life, but he's now trying to label her as a boring person. Henry expresses he isn't a lazy person, and he has been busy playing music. But she responds that playing music at home isn't anything. He needs to go out, meet people, have drinks, and live his life to the fullest. She excuses herself, saying she is off to get more drinks, but Henry tries to stop her. She seeks to know from Henry why he is acting this way, and Henry tells her that all he wants to know is where she has been all this while, but she's refusing to properly tell him. Tess finally opens up to him that she was having a drink with Richard, her colleague, and he tried to kiss her, but she didn't let him do so. Henry laughs and admits that he doesn't trust her at all because he doesn't know if she is telling the truth anymore or if she is just lying to him. This hurts Tess badly as she tries to process what exactly Henry meant by stating he doesn't care to trust her at all. They both continue to argue, and Tess remarks she hates Henry so much. The last scene shows them at the beach, both quiet and away from each other, just staring at the water. Tess leaves first and Henry goes off next.